All right. 15 minutes till our destination, Jim.
15 minutes.
We're on the way to the Tampa RV show, and we'll bore you with the details of our camping situation later. But as we're headed to this RV show, we just got to thinking, what is it that draws 85,000 people to an RV show?
It's a lot.
85,000 people, just short of that, showed up last year, and here we are on our way this year. We're excited, but I'm like, okay, what is it? Like, what is so captivating about this idea of RVing, exploring via recreational vehicle? So Jim and I were just kind of reminiscing on some things that we enjoy about RV lifestyle, being full-timers, and then some things that maybe we miss about being in more of a permanent situation like our apartment. Some things we maybe don't love about it, and then some things that we found to be really surprising. So this is more of a bonus video, right, Jim?
Yep.
So this will be posted on a Sunday, and we'll be back to regular programming on Thursday. We've got a big one for you.
A big announcement.
Yeah, a super fun Outdoors In announcement and our new travel trailer tour. So that will be a big one, bundled up together on Thursday. This is more of a bonus. So yeah, so let's kick it off, Jane.
Okay.
Let's see. You're kind of out of focus here. I'm trying this. Here you go. Okay. So our first question is, I guess you can kind of go back to why did we start doing this? We really wanted to experience beauty. We were living the apartment life in a suburb in Dallas, and it just was what it was, right? Like, you're very fixed in your location. The scenery around you obviously doesn't change. So we just desired to put ourselves in beautiful places to experience more of the outdoors, and you could say bring it in, right? Outdoors in. So that's kind of what we set out for. So what are some things, Jim, that we really have enjoyed about this lifestyle?
Yeah, I think so. Like, when we were talking about this, one of the things that I really love is, it's kind of an obvious one, but it's the ability to see and experience different places, and within those different places, the different cultures and the different people, and whether that's experiencing it through good food or a hike or just driving in general, seeing different parts of the country in those different ways, I think is a huge plus that we never get tired of.
Agree. And similar to that, Jim, is access to places that we've had, and even just the timing of going somewhere that we wouldn't have gone otherwise. So for example, after our Michigan trip, we were kind of trekking back to Dallas for Thanksgiving, and we had a little bit of spare time, so we're like, okay, I guess we can spend a little extra time in Arkansas or something like that, and kind of mosey down back to Dallas for Thanksgiving, and just got a wild idea that, hey, or we're 7 hours north of Destin right now. We could go to the beach and then go back home to Dallas. So that's what we did, right?
Yep.
And that was super fun. And it was like, that's, going to Destin, for us would be a big trip, right? Like, it takes planning. It takes a lot more money than just diesel, right? The hotel stay and all of that. But when you have your home with you, it's kind of like, do you want to drive 7 hours this way and then cut west and go home, or do you just kind of want to mosey on home? So that's something that was really cool that we did, and kind of something that you can do in an RV is be like,
having that flexibility and the nimbleness to really just kind of take a detour when otherwise you wouldn't have really had that opportunity is really awesome.
Agree. And similar would be on my what I love list is a change of scenery. So it's really cool how parking somewhere different, opening up your front door to a different scenery can actually really help you just have a different perspective, and you find yourself less getting in like the mull of things, just that sort of change, and your brain having to realize your different surroundings, or just seeing different trees that you don't see locally, something like that, simple like that, can really also change your perspective and give you a refreshing perspective.
Yeah, and another thing that I really like is it's essentially forced minimalism. So, we obviously can't carry a lot of things with us. So, we can't, as we're traveling, accumulate things and really clutter too much because there's actually no room. And we always end up coming back from a trip, or even when we're home, somehow accumulating stuff, and it ends up going in storage. So,
or the trash.
Or the trash. So it is really nice to essentially have forced minimalism.
Yeah, and something I like on a travel day is having your own toilet, right?
Yes.
So you never have to stop and be like, I gotta use the restroom, let's go to whatever gas station bathroom is over here. You can make your own lunch. Like, honestly, we end up eating out or grabbing coffee on the road a lot, but just the fact that you can stop for gas and use your own toilet is kind of nice.
As long as you don't break your water pump early on.
Yeah.
With bleach.
Yeah. Don't bleach your water tank endlessly.
Who would have done that?
Who would do that? Also alongside just having your stuff with you, it's fun to just have your stuff with you. So when we were preparing for this trip to go to Tampa, I was making a joke to Tampa. I was like, hey, to get your bags packed, you ready to go tomorrow? We've got to take this trip, But the joke of it is like everything that we own is right there, so there's no need to pack a bag.
Yeah.
Okay, and then Jim, I think what we discussed, just kind of generally speaking, like, it is what you think it is to some degree, right? Like, what we really enjoy is getting to a place, laying your mat out, getting your chairs out, hanging some lights, getting the fire pit out, putting the grill out in case you're gonna grill, and just setting up camp and enjoying camp.
Yeah. Even if we're not gonna use it.
That's true. We don't always use it.
But it is nice to just set up and feel like, okay, here's our space.
Yeah, it's fun. And even just like Dubby has become such a great camp dog over this time. Like, he used to be the kind of dog that you let him off the leash and he runs, and he's really gotten used to like our space and kind of knowing what his territory is, and it's really fun just to leave the door open and kind of have bless you.
Sorry.
Kind of have that like indoor-outdoor feel. Has been nice. Leave the door open, come in, come out.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so those are all things that we're trying this like car situation. It's a little rocky. Sorry. I don't even know if it's in focus. First time for everything. So those are some things that we have really enjoyed about the lifestyle. Now, what are some things that maybe we don't love, Jim?
Well, I would say, for one, this past year we've been forced to be in one spot for an extended period of time, and that really was never our intention when we set off to, live this lifestyle. Our intention was to really travel, come home, and spend a couple weeks and then go out again. But just because of different circumstances this year, we've had to be in one spot for a long time, and that really changes the dynamic of this lifestyle in a way that, like, you get to a point where it's not what you hoped, and it sometimes is just not very enjoyable, because you're not getting to go out and see things. For us, we're in our hometown where it's nice to see people and have access to our friends, but we're in a small space just living life and not really exploring like we hope. So that's definitely been I would say a negative that we didn't intend or expect.
Yes, and I don't think you mean like forced. Like, we weren't forced to stay in one place, but we ended up needing to be home more than we thought. So so I mean, what's not fun about that is we have one car and it's a diesel truck, and home is Dallas, Texas. So like, having one car to share when we're home, like our family and friends are there, normal life stuff like appointments, running around and doing errands, like that becomes so much more taxing when you have one car, when that one car is a diesel truck and you're trying to share that, when all of a sudden like things are busy again, again, you're home. So all those things are good. Like, it's great being home and friends and family, but when you, like James said, are just in this small-ish space in your hometown that you're familiar with, not out exploring using one car, it kind of doesn't feel like what you intended. So
Yep.
yeah, I definitely agree that it's way more fun to hitch up and have somewhere to go.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so I'll say the laundromat didn't bother me at first, and I kind of thought it was fun. But in real life, looking for rhythms of life and just kind of doing normal stuff day to day, I don't love going to the laundromat. I don't love that sometimes you get your clothes out of the washer and somebody else's really strong detergent, is still like, not a good smell, and now it's your smell.
Maybe some leftover bleach.
What?
Some leftover bleach.
Yeah, like this sweater, for example, has like, I don't know if you can see that, but it's like basically bleach stained. And it wasn't our bleach. And, I washed our comforter this week, and everything else is great that I threw through the laundry, but the comforter has a little bit of a mildew smell, and I think that's just the washer it was in. So I was like, I'm gonna wash that again today. So what would be nice is to have a washer dryer, which a lot of people do actually have a washer dryer in their camper. So that's just a nice thing we don't. I don't love it. What else do you not love, James?
I would say, well, for example, like since we've been driving today, just like a random drawer, or maybe that was yesterday, but a random drawer just fell out. And drawers don't typically fall out, but sometimes you just never know. Something's going to open, or, things are going to fall out and knocked over our coffee machine. The refrigerator door has opened and dented because it hit handles.
Yeah, and on that, even on this trip, I opened the fridge at one point. Like, it's taped shut, but I opened it to get a drink out, and like a soda can fell out onto the ground and exploded and like shot streams of sticky drink like all throughout the camper. So what was supposed to be a fast trip to pee ended up being like a whole cleanup in the kitchen and living room. So
Yeah. So what's next, Steph?
What do we miss?
Ooh, one thing I miss is golf. I thought that traveling, I would, find at least a day to, go out and golf. But that really has not been the case. So I've golfed a lot less, and golfing is something that I love to do. So definitely miss that.
Okay, I miss gardening. So I really enjoy just like working some dirt, planting some seeds, pruning some flowers and some plants, and I've never been great at growing food. I've tried, but we at one point lived in a rent house, and I like basically ripped up the whole backyard and like did a whole thing just for our dogs for the rent house. And in our apartment at one point I had how many plants and flowers, James?
Over 100.
Over 100. And how many square feet?
Less than 1,000.
Yeah, it was like an 800 square foot apartment with a semi-large patio for an apartment. And yeah, it was over 100 plants. I had containers out there for container gardening. And I mean, it was really beautiful. And I took care of it and I loved it. And I can't do that in a camper. So that's definitely something I look forward to doing again one day after we're not living in a camper. I also miss baths. I actually am totally a bath person. I don't wash my hair very often, so I definitely miss the just like simplicity of not having to wrap your hair up and like all the humidity in a small shower and all of that. So that's my thing. What else do you miss, James?
I need to figure out how I'm gonna turn around right here.
Okay. Jameson misses it being easy to turn around.
Yeah.
When you get stuck.
We're showing up to an RV resort without a reservation, hoping we can somehow piece together a week's worth of stays.
Okay, so what else do you miss, James?
What do I miss?
Room. Sometimes you miss room.
Sometimes I miss the room, to be honest. It just sometimes gets a little tight, especially right now with 2 dogs. That it just, you want a little bit of space sometimes to spread out, but I don't hate it. I think it's mainly, like I said, whenever we're stationary and not traveling, that's when things start to feel really small. When we're traveling, I don't think about it at all, and I love the fact that we live in such a small space.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, what have you found surprising?
Yeah, I think for me, I found that we have to be intentional about enjoying our space, because even though we might set up the campsite with the fire and the chairs and the grill, sometimes everything just stays in the bed of the truck and we don't do anything, and we're there for like 2 weeks. So we have to be really intentional when you're not just a weekend camper. You have to be intentional to enjoy what you have and where you're at. So that surprised me a bit, because you just don't always, you don't always feel like you're camping. You're just living.
It's true. Yep. I think what's surprising to me is that it's not fun to not have a plan all the time. So it's nice to have flexibility, don't get me wrong there. But not booking and just thinking you'll kind of like fly by the seat of your pants and life is an adventure. Like, actually, it's a little bit stressful to not have your booking out, you know? So we've learned the hard way so many times, including now this week again, that sometimes it's just helpful to put a little planning in place, have some places to stay. You can always adjust it, right? If you need to cancel, most campgrounds have a policy that allows you to get most of that back, but just the peace of mind of knowing where you're going to sleep that night and maybe over the next couple months, it's not a bad thing, which I found surprising.
All right, so we got all settled into our site.
So we're going to wrap this up and get ready for a week in Tampa at the RV show.
That's right.
But to tie this conversation in a bow, what we wanted to share was some things that we found surprising. You said that it does take intention to actually enjoy camping and not just get into the same kind of rut you might get in normal everyday life, living in a house or an apartment, right? If you get to a place you don't set up, you're not going to enjoy your space that much. If you get to a place and set up and don't think, why don't we grill out tonight? You're not going to enjoy that space that much. And then I said it wasn't fun to not have a plan. Yeah. So
Yeah, and that's a big
point
one.
In case.
That is a big one. That is right now. We did not have a plan and got here. Got into this spot for like 2 days.
Yeah, which we're thankful for. Moving on.
Yeah.
Okay, I find this surprising. It is a lot of setup and tear down, which is not the surprising part. I am surprised at how much that doesn't bug you.
Yeah. I don't know why. I mean, I kind of enjoy it.
Yeah. But the process of it, I'm like, that's a lot of work. We're going to be here for 2 days, and then we're doing this, taking it all down and putting it back up, and we did 2 overnighters, and it just doesn't seem to
it
really...
just never feels like a hassle to me, so that's...
Yeah, which
it's
probably,
a good thing.
Yeah, and probably makes sense to keep your setup simple if you can, for the most part. Just have what you need and kind of make the setup easy as you can.
Yes.
So, another thing that we've kind of mentioned, I mean, we have spent a lot of time at home. Some of that was intentional, like the holidays and just come and go in different seasons. Some of it was out of necessity, right? But what I do think is surprising is living full-time in an RV and spending a lot of time traveling in that RV hasn't compromised our relationship with our family and our friends. Yeah. We see them a lot, and it hasn't, I feel like we see them a lot, we talk to them a lot, and it hasn't put a wrench in our relationships with people.
Not at all.
Which is awesome.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's one thing, when you live close and maybe you try to live close because of that, you still end up only seeing people, every so often. And now, I mean, we see people a lot. So it hasn't really changed our experience of seeing family and friends.
Yeah, and almost even more so, as soon as we got home for Thanksgiving, which was really October 31st we got home, it was almost every single day it felt like we were doing something with friends or family, and it kind of didn't stop until after the new year. So, it's almost like you get to be more intentional with the time you have because you realize that window is maybe more limited than just if you're doing everyday life.
Anything else?
To round it out here, we're at the RV show, the Tampa RV show. There are going to be 85,000 people here. Does that rival the playoff game that's happening here in Tampa?
Probably.
There's the Cowboys and Buccaneers.
Yeah, Cowboys Buccaneers playing Monday.
And I would bet that there's about as many people showing up to this RV show. So there's something here, folks. Yep. And I think one big thing that you can point to is the community of campers.
Yes.
So camping people are just great. I don't know how else to say it, but there's a type of person who decides to spend their free time outside and potentially doing that in a recreational vehicle, potentially tent camping, what have you. But there's a kind of person that says, you know what, I've got some free time off work, I'm gonna go spend it outside in my camper, I'm gonna go take my tent out. Like, it's just a fun community to be in, and we're gonna experience that a lot this week. So first time at the RV show,
full force, we're gonna experience it. First time here, and you know, she's exactly right. You know, the people that camp are good people.
Yep.
So we're happy to be a part of that group. Yep.
And I think that'll about wrap it. So we shared some things that we really enjoyed, some things that we don't love, some things we miss, and some things we find surprising.
Yep. And if you have anything that you were thinking of while we were talking, leave it down in the comments, because we would love to hear that and talk to you about that too.
Yeah, and we may or may not be planning to do some ambush interviews with unsuspecting passersby at the RV show.
If you're going to be here, come find us.
Yeah, or we'll find you. Okay, well,
all right.
Thanks for watching. New video out this Thursday.
That's right. We'll see you then. Bye.
This is me going for a high five.